Can Minnesota claim a top 10 finish in the high-speed story of Formula One racing? You should know how this works by now. Of course we can, with some fancy driving. Formula One. Open-wheel racing in cars of extreme engineering. Exotic, sophisticated, elite, European. So how does Minnesota fit into that story? The way we always fit into big stories. Awkwardly, quietly, and forgotten by most. Warning, this story includes human fatalities and animal sacrifice. Yes, you heard that right. Buckle up. 1913. Two German-born brothers open a little auto shop on University Avenue in St. Paul. Fred and Augie are building the most powerful engines in the world through their newly founded Duesenberg Motor Company. Duesenberg will ultimately build the most powerful, expensive, and finely crafted hand-built luxury cars, the favorite of royalty and celebrities around the world. For now, though, the Duesenbergs are all about speed. 1914. Famed racing driver Eddie Rickenbacker signs on to race for Duesenberg. To bring him good luck in the Sioux City race, Rickenbacker cuts out the still-beating heart of a live bat and ties it around his finger. The gruesome talisman works. Rickenbacker's first-place finish secures Duesenberg's racing future. That same year, Eddie O'Donnell of Faribault, Minnesota, formerly Rickenbacker's ride-along mechanic, takes over as Duesenberg's driver, finishing third at the State Fair Speedway. 1915. O'Donnell explodes on the national scene, winning 3 national races and finishing third at the Twin City Motor Speedway. Rickenbacker spends the summer in St. Louis Park tuning up his car. 1916. St. Paul-born speed freak Tommy Milton races against O'Donnell and Rickenbacker at Minneapolis, all on different teams. 1919. Duesenberg teams up with Tommy Milton to set 19 new speed records. They also employ Milton for the Indianapolis 500, alongside fellow Minnesotan Eddie O'Donnell. The Minnesota Dream Team falls short at Indianapolis, but Milton has a great season, winning 5 national races. April 1920. Tommy Milton drives a maxed-out Duesenberg to achieve the land speed record at Daytona Beach, an astronomical 156.046 miles per hour. The record will stand for 7 years. Later that year, Eddie O'Donnell and Gaston Chevrolet collide at Beverly Hills Speedway, killing both drivers and O'Donnell's mechanic. A tragic and early end for the Minnesota racing pioneer. Memorial Day, 1921. Lined up to race in the Indianapolis 500 are Minnesotans Tommy Milton and Crookston-born Jules Ellingbeau. Milton takes first place, but Ellingbeau's steering fails after just 8 laps. 1 month later, the State Fairgrounds host a massive thrill show. Among the many spectacles is Tommy Milton racing the Daytona Beach Duesenberg. Acting as Milton's ride-along mechanic is sitting Minnesota Governor J.A.O. Preuss. Yes, you heard that right. 1 month after that, driver Jimmy Murphy, handpicked by Milton, wins the 1921 French Grand Prix at Le Mans for Duesenberg with a 17-minute lead over the number 2 finisher. Murphy becomes the first American driver to win a European Grand Prix race in an all-American car, a record that will stand for 46 years. 1922. Duesenberg utterly dominates the Indianapolis 500, with cars finishing 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, and good old Jules Ellingbeau in 26th place. 1923. Fred Duesenberg himself drives the pace car at the Indy 500. Tommy Milton wins the race, making him its first multiple winner. What does any of this have to do with Formula One? The AIACR World Championships is the top tier of auto racing in Europe and the forerunner of F1. While Europe's racing authorities are already looking down their noses at their uncultured American counterparts, for just 3 years between 1925 and 1927, the Indianapolis 500 is included in the World Championships. To be eligible, teams must compete in their home country's Grand Prix and the 1925 Italian Grand Prix. 1925. Tommy Milton snags a 5th place finish in the Indianapolis 500, and then 4th place in the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, becoming Minnesota's first World Championship driver. By the 1930s, European and American racing styles are diverging. Europe's topography and ancient winding roads lead to highly technical racing around complex Grand Prix circuits across the continent. America's wide-open flat plains favor raw speed around simpler oval tracks, like Indianapolis. 1950. Out of the ashes of World War II, Formula One is born. the pinnacle of world motorsport steeped in decades of European Grand Prix racing. Hoping to recapture American interest, Formula One's first 10 seasons include the Indianapolis 500 as an F1 race. Among the drivers flying around the track to qualify is Minneapolis native Bob Gregg. While a spectacular crash prevents Gregg from qualifying, and thus becoming Minnesota's first F1 driver, he has a long and extraordinary racing career spanning 6 decades and 1,000 wins. 1960, the final year of the Indy 500's inclusion as a Formula One event. Rookie driver Bud Tingelstad is from Frazee, Minnesota. He snags a 9th place finish, becoming Minnesota's first Formula One driver. 1997, Minneapolis native Duncan Dayton, yes, those Daytons, he's first cousin to former Governor Mark, wins a Monaco Grand Prix for the first of 10 times over the next 13 years. There's a catch. It's the historic Grand Prix of Monaco, a non-F1 race in which racers drive historic race cars. Still, we'll take it. So, what about Minnesota's top 10 Formula One claim? Between Duesenberg's epic French Grand Prix victory, Jules Ellingbo's tireless Indy 500 efforts, Eddie O'Donnell's amazing, tragically short career, Bob Gregg's spectacular F1 attempt, Tommy Milton's World Championship, and Bud Tingelstad's Formula One finish, wave that checkered flag. QED.